Hey guys, welcome to tonight's live stream. It's late tonight. We're going to do a pre-delivery live stream. So I'm going through the systems on Lone Star here, and it just made sense to bring you guys along so you can see what I do kind of the night before delivery, the day before delivery. I work on these things so long, and they're kind of like my baby, so I just want to make sure that everything is just perfect, ready to go. And it takes a long time to do that, but it's something I enjoy. And you know, this is the last time that I'm kind of with the van for a while, until somebody comes and visits or gives me some update photos. So it's a little bittersweet because it's done, and you know, it's time for like a send-off. So we're looking at Lone Star. This is the Texas build that is being delivered tomorrow. Technically in a couple hours, but we're going to walk through this, and you're just going to be behind the scenes with me. I've actually got the second camera, this little van cam right here, so that you guys can come in and see what I'm doing. We're going to go over the circuits and stuff like that. And kind of what I want this video to be is also, it's almost like a video manual for the owners so that they can refer back to the video, because every build's different. Everything here is custom. This build, I kind of consider this a super custom from what I do. Sometimes we do lighter builds. This is more involved, and you can usually tell by how involved it is with the plumbing and the electrical. So what we're looking at here is pretty much, I'm calling it the manifold for the van. And so this is all the plumbing and piping, and it looks crazy because in a house where you can have everything long and kind of flat out, the plane in which you have to work with it's high, but it's very narrow. So pretty much everything is fitting very narrowly in here, because there's a Trillino toilet in here. And so we need to make sure that, so let's just go for a little ride in the van. Tetra van, so we're gonna come around here. So this is inside the Flatline Vanco kitchen galley. So if you guys can see, this is a prefabricated galley that I like to use in vans. Now I did design this door right here, and so this door, you know, I designed to mimic what came from Flatline Vanco. That houses the hot water heater. But you can see here we've got the Trillino inside this door. We got some room here on the left-hand side, and that is going to be for maybe cleaning supplies, toilet paper, stuff like that. And then above this you do have some storage area. So you can see everything's pushed to the back so we can maximize as much storage as possible. And then over here on the left-hand side, the two hot and cold lines that are down here on the floor, they're running underneath the van, which takes a bunch of pre-planning in order to get that over here to the Tetra van. So the Tetra van, this is the folding shower. So this is what kind of caught me when I was, you know, about to think about starting to film, because I wanted to show you guys how this whole setup works. So everything's plumbed, ready to go, and then we're just going to do a last minute check on. We're just doing redundant checks. We really need to make sure that everything is perfectly set to go. I spent today driving the van around town. I got a car wash. Went through solar, DC to DC charging, all of that stuff. And let's get this camera. Let's set this right here. You know, DC to DC charging, just to make sure the EcoFlow system is working while the van is driving around, listening through like pops, squeaks, cracks, and stuff like that. And pretty much the only thing I found was the Trillino. That's obvious, it's plastic. So maybe putting like a little towel around that. And then we're gonna put some extra felt pads on the door tabs. But pretty much this unit is where a little bit of that, the doors and stuff like that were making some noise, but everything else is perfectly silent, that's excellent. And let's see here. Let me make sure my YouTube's working. Pretty much this unit is where a little bit of that. Anyway, it's a weeknight. I understand that there might not be the people on, but that's okay. We're going to keep going here. So we'll come back to the Tetravan here in a second with that van cam. And then, yeah, so we'll come back to that. So let's come back over here. I'm going to tilt the camera again down, and I'm going to show you what the plumbing is. And so this is in case the owners have any question as far as like what the thought process was behind this. So, starting left to right, we have our input line. So this is our water. This is coming from our water pump. So we have a flex stainless steel line. And so we're going to hide these wires in a second. I'm just, I need to check one more thing with the hot water heater. But we have stainless steel line coming in, and then we get a 1/2 inch, and we're not reducing it, we're actually enlarging it to a 3/4, and we got a 3/4 T. And so what we've done is we've, this 7-gallon hot water heater, you can change the orientation. So you can orientate it with the hot and cold on the top or on the side. There's 2 ways to do it, and then the pressure relief valve is up here on top. So 2 ways to do that. The next thing, so now that's in this orientation, when the water's coming in, we want the cold to fill the hot water tank, and then it's now going to pass down, and it's going to go to a variety of places. It comes into a T with a cutoff valve, ball valve to be specific, and that's going to come into the shower. Same thing when it fills up, the hot comes down, and then that branches off and goes underneath to the shower. So these 2, they're closed right now because I haven't, I don't want to do it until I'm ready. So those 2 are closed, and that will be bringing the hot and cold water to the shower. So if at any point something weird happens, you accidentally rip off the plug, or you do something that creates a leaking situation, you can come inside here and you can cut it off. That's important because you don't want to make your whole water system useless because you hardwired everything. So this looks wild because it's essentially because I have 6 cutoff valves. So that's the shower. Then as we come down, so this is, think of this is called like a manifold. So this is what is distributing it. Now they do have like a little, kind of like a little smaller version plastic PEX manifold, but the issue with that is you have to go from 1/2 inch to 3/4 to the manifold, and then step back down to 1/2 inch, and that requires buying a whole roll of 3/4. I don't really use 3/4 PEX in anything I work on. So as the manifold comes down, so this is, I just made one. You can just make it up. So it comes down, and we have our second branch of T's. This first one comes up, and everything is nice besides that. This is all zip tied together so nothing rattles. Now, this is kind of you kind of love it or hate it situation. This is the weight for the faucet, so that when you pull the faucet up, when you let go, it returns back into position. You can opt to take this weight off so it doesn't clack around. I don't really find it's that big of a deal. It's just your preference. But now that is something that is moving inside your van. So however you want to deal with that, if you want it to function like a faucet, you know, this is the way it's designed. If you want it to be a manual push back up in there, you know, you can take the weight off, or you can just actually just zip tie this tight and then not have the wand function, but that's kind of kills the whole point. So we have our cold valve going to our faucet, and then next branch over, we have our hot coming into our faucet. So this is our hot and cold going into the faucet. And then the hot and cold come into here, they mix with the mixing valve, come down this one line, and then that is the final exit for the water flow. And then next we have out here, we have an exterior washdown setup from Accor, and these are super nice. This is very, very high-end stuff. And these two valves go into two stainless steel hoses that mix, and then it's super nice. So you can go between hot and cold with your washdown hose. So really, really nice setup. And then last but not least, we have this valve here for the this cold water. And so this cold water is coming up, going through, and this is going into our water drop filter. So this is a NSF food grade filter. So the specific one I'm using is the NSF / ANSI 42 and 372, and the model of the filter is WD-RF10. And so it's mounted here. So let me switch over to the camera that is a little bit more detailed. There we go. So right here, this is the water drop filter. So we get that plumbed in, and then we have a line here coming out from that into this stem, and that stem is going underneath the sink, and it comes out to this faucet. Yeah, so that is that's all the supply. So now the return comes down through here. We've got a HEPVO. This is a kind of wild piece of gear. It's a P-trap, but it has like a bladder inside, and so it's interesting how it's made. There's two different versions of this. You got to get the one that's 1.5 inches. The one that's like 1 1/8, or I don't know what the other one was. It's really not good. Very low quality. This one for some reason was hard to find. I think when I was ordering these, I got this one by accident when I ordered two, and it happened to be the right one. I don't use these often, but now that I've found that this one does work, then I'll be using it. Comes with so the whole kit comes with this part, comes with this part, and then this flex line. We got a Fernco fitting to adapt from this back into Schedule 40 1.5 inch pipe. And so the Schedule 40, it's overkill, but I like it because it's just, I mean, it's a tank. Schedule 40, and we double dip by using a hole saw to be like the holder for this stuff. So you can kind of see how I do that on some things. Now the Fernco fittings are here for two reasons. One, it's easy to adapt. They're expensive, but it's easy to adapt. But second, you need to be able to disassemble this if you get a clog for some reason. And if you just glue all this together, it's impossible to work on. So that's another reason. Now also, don't be fearful of all the electrical wire coming through here. This is all marine grade, double jacketed wire, properly sized for the circuit coming through. This one is actually for the dimmer switch, the light dimmer switch. And then over here, this goes up to a switch panel for outlets and the hot water on-off switch. So that is what is located there. Yeah, so that's pretty much what's happening there. Let me switch back over to this one. So right now we have cold water, we have hot water, and my microphone is right over here. You can see how the pump is extremely quiet. And there's a C-flow pump. It's a variable C-flow pump that I use. It does not require, or I haven't found that it requires an accumulator tank, which saves a bunch of space in the van, which is critical. So let's try the water filter. Got some air coming out. So let that run for a second. We got a 20-gallon undermount gray water tank. Kind of splatter some stuff here. So we're just letting that open up and flow through. All right, so now we got all the air out, so that's good. Again, just checking for leaks around here. And I double seal everything. I used pipe tape, and then I use this stuff that you guys will see in all my videos. It's called Rector Seal number 5, soft set. It's a food grade sealant, and that's what I use for. I use it for everything. It doesn't matter what it is. I use it for it. Just a little bit of insurance policy, especially with the water tank, because you only have 2 input and output, and you just want to make sure that stuff is just super sealed. Okay, that's pretty much everything that's going on behind here. Let's see, next thing I'm going to do is, let's get this shower wand. I just kind of get this bag of hardware out here. So this hose is a very specific hose. The fitting on here looks like that. So if you damage the hose, you're going to have to get one specifically from Tetravan. You could probably repurpose something in an emergency, like a mini air hose connector from like Lowe's or something like that. But this hose is really nice, stainless steel, and it's got a beautiful wand on here, and it's nice. It's got like a thumb actuator here, so you don't waste water. So you can spray down, cut it off, kind of keep going. So I'm gonna plug that in here in just a second. So this video is also going to double dip as kind of like a maintenance video for the owners. And that's why I do a live stream. It's just easier to just film while I'm working. Then I don't have to edit it. I don't have to do anything like that. We have our flat screen monitor. We're looking at our appliance garage up there. But we're going to move over and down over here. So what I've done is I've removed the countertop. And so what we're going to do is I can get my Allen wrench here. I'm going to show you how to remove the wall panel. It's really easy. So if you ever needed to, you need to make sure things are, if you can, make sure things are accessible in a van. So let me get a towel. And by the way, this is Jim and Linda's van. So one thing I'm going to give them is a container of stainless steel wipes. This stainless steel, the isotherm 130, Cruise 130 fridge, all that stuff you really need to have that. All right, there's my Allen wrench. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat and ask them. So this grab bar here, this is for these guys to hold on to. They can, put a laptop behind here when this is turned into office mode, when it's not in shower mode. And so this rail, we have 80-20 structure behind here. And hopefully all the Havelock won't fall down, but I just want to be able to check on the hose connections. So I was going to do this earlier, but then I realized that when I installed the drain fitting at the bottom of the Tetravan, that's actually more challenging to do an inspection on, so instead I'm doing this. So right here we've got the grab bar taken off, and then we got two holes here you guys can see. And if it's not in focus, the camera's in a weird spot. But this panel will just come out. And the popping and cracking, that's just like the paint, fresh paint. It's just on the edges. It's nothing to be worried about. So this comes off, and then you can see this is the internal structure of the wall. So we need to have this not only for the grab bar, but to define something that the wall is going to sit against. And then down here we have these two backer plates that I installed a couple weeks ago, because the back of the wall was flexing when it was being put in, and the countertop here was not, it didn't like that. So I went ahead and took care of that. So one thing I'm going to do is just pull this out right here on the right side. Okay, so now, again, just future reference for Jim and Linda. Right hand side, 2 bats of Havelock, and you can just reach down and that's where the valves are. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the water on to the pan here and just give it a little rinse. But before I do that, I'm going to put the sprayer in the sink because we don't know what orientation the sprayer nozzle is. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to let somebody know that I'm live streaming that just called. Okay, we're back. All right, so we're going to, let me switch this here. Hold on, I'm still here. Hopefully you didn't lose the camera. I got it on this little tripod and okay. Well, I thought I broke it. That was a pretty hard hit. It went straight onto the entrance of the van. All right, here we go. Let's keep you right there. Don't